Good morning, everybody. We continue to ask the experts, and we've got the Dream Team in here today. This is the Andrey Bustamante Real Estate Show, brought to you by GuaranteedSale.com. A free home evaluation in under 30 seconds. Fidelity National Title. And BestOrlandoMLSSearch.com. You can call Andrey Bustamante anytime, 7 days a week at 888-785-0440. Andrey with a Y, AndreyBustamante.com. And you can call us today with any questions you've got about your home, about whether you're buying a home, selling a home. It's all about behind the scenes today. 855-297-9696. Text us at 21232. I mentioned the Dream Team. When you go to Andrey Bustamante, you're not getting somebody that sits out in a desk and in a big bullpen in a room with 500 other realtors sitting around, and everybody is just trying to list the house and then sit on it. Okay, put up a sign in the front yard. That's it. Take an MLS picture with their phone or their watch and walk away. That's not the Bustamante way. The Bustamante way is full marketing, full planning, full marketing and promotion of your home as that $200,000 product. All right? You're trying to market bread, you market bread, beer, whatever. Your house is an item to be sold. Take the emotion out of it. It is an asset, and you got to know what you're doing. Now, what Andrey brings to the table is photographers, stagers, legal people, title companies, and the best inspection team that literally money can buy. I mean, if you have a property and you're talking about buying a property and you want to have it inspected, or maybe you were looking at selling your home and you want to get an inspection so you can just hand the inspection right to the prospective buyer, you need the best inspectors there are, people who are known and respected in the business. That's why we have the Dream Team here today. Can't tell your players without a program, so let me give you the program. We've got my buddy Paul. He's here from PJM Home Inspections, Inc. We have Lou here from Safeguard Environmental. We have Mike here from GGG Home Inspections, and he deals in 203Ks. And if you don't know what a 203K is, it's not breakfast and it's not a retirement plan. Okay? This is something that you can use in buying a home. You buy one that's a little substandard. You buy a foreclosure, a modification, an abandoned house, one that's been in an estate sale. Well, you got to do things to it. I wish I would have known about 203K when I bought my very first house in Eldon, Missouri, $10,000 at an auction, and that house was one of the oldest homes in town. Roof needed work, and the siding needed work. Stupid me, didn't know about a 203K, got the loan at the corner bank, and went about having to take out a second to get the siding done and to get the roof done, and put myself in real financial trouble, especially during the Carter years when I was paying 18% anyway. So I should have known our buddy Mike back then. Okay. So we're going to lead it up by letting you ask questions at home about inspections, about problems. 855-297-9696, texting at 21232. And Paul, I guess one of the first things you guys have run into this summer is we've had more rain than any summer I can remember since moving here in 78. And there's probably an awful lot of people who have hidden water damage they don't even know is there yet.
That happens very often. When we get a lot of rain, usually inspectors have a little bit of a heart attack because there are periods before a lot of rain where you had no rain. And when you have no rain, it's impossible really to find out if you have hidden water damage in most cases. But when you have rain, you're right. We've been running into a lot of problems with roof leaks. We always know what areas to look at. I know Mike knows that really well, too. Him and I have done this lots of times where you go up to a house. Rob, you don't even have to go in the house to know where the roof is going to leak at. Usually, you could see from the street. And you can see from the street where the water damage is most likely to occur. The cool thing about our team is we have a lot of experience, a lot of years of doing this. So the water and the rain, that's very helpful to have here because when you get inside and you look in those areas, usually you do find a problem. And typically you use tools like moisture meters and infrared devices to try and figure out if you have something or not. But the beauty of experience, that's something you can't buy. And the one thing that these guys bring to the table, and myself included, is when you pull up to a house, Lou knows where to look for termites because he knows where the water's falling by the foundation. He knows from experience exactly where to look. Mike, too. Mike can pull up to a house, and he knows exactly where that roof is going to be leaking. He knows exactly where he's going to put his moisture meter when he gets in there, regardless if there's a visual stain or not.
Well, one of the cool things is about the Dream Team here is you guys live in Florida. You've experienced the ultra heat and the temperature changes, although they're not as drastic as they are up north. But as Larry Perry, the Magic Mechanic, says, these are extreme conditions in Florida. You got a roof in Missouri, it's not putting up with the same things that the roof here is. If you're dealing with 9 to 10 months of heat, all right? Now, sure, you guys up north have had snow on your roof and a lot of weight, but there's different things you need to do. And up north, maybe you probably didn't have the termite problem down here because, as we've been told on this show before by Lou, it's not if you're going to get termites in Florida, it's when you're going to get termites. And those of you, Lou, let's take off first of all and start the conversation here.
Well,
we got people with the concrete block house, and they say, we got concrete block. What do we need Lou for? I mean, what's a termite going to eat my concrete? Well, what have they forgotten?
I wish that was true, Ron, but it's not. And the reason for that is because the rest of the house on the inside is made of wood. Mm-hmm. So you've got rafters, you've got roof sheathing, you've got floor joists, you've got ceiling joists, and you've got all kinds of wood partitions inside the house. And that's where the termites are going to find the wood. Yeah. That's where they're going to find their feed. And oftentimes, and this is for the realtors out there primarily, oftentimes the thinking is, well, I don't need a termite inspection because of, it's a concrete block house, and they may communicate that to the client or to the potential buyer. And that would be just a little misleading. Certainly not intentional, but maybe a little misleading. But the other thing is that we're not just looking for termites, but we're looking for different types of other wood-boring type of insects like powder post beetles and wood decay fungi. Wood decay fungi is a very active wood decaying problem here in Florida, particularly when we're talking about roof leaks and things like that. So it's very important to get that inspection done. And like Paul said, I can kind of spot that pretty quickly if we have access to the property. We're looking for conducive conditions, and a lot of times they're pretty much all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Can I interject something real quick?
Sure.
Because one of the things that as an inspector that Mike and I run across all the time is people will ask questions as home inspectors we want to answer, but there's a right way to answer those questions. One question we get all the time is, if the house was built in 2007, do I really need a termite inspection? And the response is usually yes, but their perception is no. And I can't tell you how many times we've gone out and done home inspections on homes built in 05, 06, 07, 08, that I end up calling Lou and saying, listen, Lou, I'm going to give your name to this person because I've got what looks like termite damage. And, I'm not the expert in termite damage. Lou is. So we bring Lou in because we want that confirmation and we want his professional assessment. The second thing is we get asked all the time, well, how about you do the home inspection and you tell us if we need a termite inspection? And that's kind of double-edged for us. So what we usually respond and what people should know, and we've talked about this numerous times, is if you want to wait and see what the results of the home inspection are before ordering a termite inspection, that's fine because we might find an electrical problem or a roof problem or a problem that makes you stop your transaction and think about it. But we're not there to tell you if you have termites or not. And that's really important to make that distinction. I'm going to let Lou explain the rest because he's really good at that. But that's something I wanted to bring up that I thought had a lot of merit.
Very cool, Lou.
Well, it's not really if you're not licensed in termites in the state of Florida, you're not legally able to communicate that information nor even suggest. And it puts the home inspector in a very, very difficult position because if he goes out there and he doesn't see anything that's obvious, and with termites and with destroying organisms, it's in many cases it's impossible to detect. And then suddenly that person buys that house, and 6 months later they find a major infestation with any kind of wood-destroying organism. It kind of puts a pressure on the home inspector, or certainly it's not fair to that home buyer. In kind of depending on whether or not the home inspector suggests to have a WDO or not. So it's always good to have it done. It's the least expensive part of the inspection, and it's probably the most important. So important that VA requires it on all transactions.
Now, Lou, when somebody comes down and they talk to Andrey or one of his associates, and they are referred to you guys, can you then, in good conscience, take somebody that moved here from Ohio and say, all right, I've done the inspection, and you say you want to go ahead with the purchase of the home. So we might want to get 203K involved. But at the same time, are you able to suggest reputable, qualified termite people to work on the actual problem and contain it when there's a shyster in every pickup truck with a magnetic sign on the side of it?
Well, that's a good point, Rob, and I can certainly make a very strong recommendation for a company by the name of Safeguard Environmental Care.
There you go. See, what am I saying?
We do provide the remedy. We do provide the solution. We have the capabilities of remediating any termite issue.
And associated with that, before we go to break, what is a termite bond?
Well, that's a good question. It's not, the word bond is used here extensively here in Florida, but really it's a termite warranty. And what it simply means that, and the state provides only two opportunities or two types of warranties. The first one is a retreat only, meaning if I treat the property for termites, I warranty it, and termites reappear within the warranty period, I'm obligated to come back and retreat, but I'm not obligated to repair any damage. A repair and replacement warranty requires not only that I retreat, but I also have to repair any damage that was caused by the termites that came after the fact, after the treatment. All
right, you have questions? Having heard all of this, I'm sure that we have opened a can of worms. 855-297-9696. 855-297-9696. Text us at 21232, 21232. One of the questions I'm going to ask our panel here, the Dream Team, when we come back is, all right, you got a buyer, you got a seller. If the seller knows that every time it rains, there's water dripping in, but Tim here and his wife come and look at a home on a real sunny day where it hadn't rained in 3 weeks, what is the owner's obligation to divulge and not to divulge, and what are the legal consequences? And what's it do to the contract? We'll be back with that question and more right here on News 96.5. Welcome back. It is the Dream Team. These are people brought about, and they're associated with their own companies, but they're associated with our good friend Andrey Bustamante. Welcome back to the Andrey Bustamante Real Estate Show. Yeah, if that name sounds familiar, that's the one Sean Hannity is always talking about. That's a celebrity realtor, Andrey Bustamante, mind you. You can reach him during the week, 888-785-0440, AndreyBustamante.com. As I open the program, he brings an entire team of people. We've had people in here that were stagers, people here that were interior designers, people in here that are photographers. Luis, he's here. Man, he can fly a drone over your house, in your bathroom, anywhere you want to put it. Great photographer. And this is a Dream Team. We have Paul, we have Lou, and we have Mike. And represented are the PJM Inspections, Safeguard Environmental, and I was errant in my introduction, and I have been taken to task for it by one of these gentlemen's wives, and it is Triple G. There you go, Mike. Triple G. All right, there you go. I'm not going to even ask what those G's stand for because I'm just not going to open that can of worms. All right, George, thanks for calling in at 855-297-9696. What do you got?
Hello, am I on?
Go, George, you're on.
Okay. Hey, listen, I bought a house just over 6 months ago, and I paid a lot of money for it, and we had a home inspection, and July 4th we had a sewer problem. The whole living room flooded.
Ooh.
And it cost us $4,000 to have the sewer done, and then they give us a quote. They said the cast iron pipe underneath the slab and in the wall was bad as well, $13,000. We tried to go back onto the realtor, and she had a disclaimer saying that we had a home inspection, but the home inspection didn't cover the stuff in the wall and under the slab. Is there anything that you can do to help? I've tried everybody to try and get some sort of an answer, and to stop other people. And where I live now, it's all ex-military, and they're buying like 100% mortgage, and they just can't afford this sort of money, you know. Can they help me in any way?
Gentlemen?
Well, can I take this one? Mike and I think, are going to both work on this one together. The first thing that you probably should know is that the home inspection probably would not cover stuff that's not visible and accessible. That's standard. So that expectation shouldn't have been there, and that could have been effectively communicated by the home inspector that did the job during your first meeting together by stating that it's a non-invasive visual inspection to go over what the scope is and what it isn't. Secondly, one of the things that the home inspector could have done, and I don't know if they did or didn't, that would have been helpful, is if we knew what year the home was built. You said cast iron pipes. Most home inspectors would recognize and list the material that is in the home and alert you to the age of the material, and whether or not that material was in good, fair, or poor condition would have let you know, and then should have created an expectation in the report for you to review, stating these pipes have a certain life expectancy on average. And if they had done that in the report, your expectations should have and could have been, whichever one that is, that you didn't have much more life expectancy with that material, regardless of what was visible and accessible. It should have been something that would have been, you should have been alerted to as far as the age. That way, you can budget for replacement of the material effectively.
Yeah.
Okay, George, thank you so much for the call. 2 minutes before we take the break. Let's go back to legalities, guys. How does all of this work? Because George kind of really just revisited what I said before the break. Whose responsibility is it to divulge, and how much should they divulge? And what are the ramifications if they don't tell me that, you know, that arguably every time it rains, water comes down on my head? Mike?
Well, with the home inspection, we go into the home and we do a visual home inspection with the different systems and components that are there. Now, the seller is required to fill out a disclosure in many cases, but facts being what they are, people forget. Many, many times we go into a home and the seller is so proud to tell us about that new roof they just put on only a few years ago. And then, as is common practice with PJM in our company, we go out and we do a permit search, and we find that the roof is 8 years old. But to the seller, it appears like they did it yesterday, probably because they're still paying for it. And those are some of the misconceptions. I've spoken to dozens of realtors who go, Mike, we have a home inspection for you. When can you come out? They just put a roof on. The seller said the roof is new. The seller said the plumbing is new. The air conditioning is new. And I stand in front of the unit with the realtor, and we say, well, here's the coded information, the data, and this is a 2005 system. And they look at me puzzled, like, but they said it was new. Well, sometimes the seller forgets. So, but the seller has the burden of disclosing the information.
Boy, are you kind.
People do forget.
Well, let me elaborate a little bit too on what Mike's saying, because there are situations also where the seller is a bank, and we should talk more about that.
Yeah, let's do when we come back. And I also want Mike from Triple G to tell us what in the world a 203K is, because I know that you're on the edge of your seat just going, what in the world? Is that my 401K cut in half? I don't know. We'll come back and talk about it when we come back right here. It's the Andrey Bustamante Real Estate Show, powered by BestOrlandoMLSSearch.com, Fidelity Title, and GuaranteedSale.com. We'll be back. Any problems that arise in buying or selling real estate, well, old Andrey Bustamante knocks them down. That's right, the Andrey Bustamante Real Estate Show, brought to you by GuaranteedSale.com, a free home evaluation in under 30 seconds. You can call the office anytime at 888-785-0440. Andre with a Y, Bustamante.com, BestOrlandoMLSSearch.com, and, of course, brought to you by Fidelity National Title. And today we have three, I call them the Dream Team in here. Introduce yourselves, gentlemen. Let them hear you down there.
I'm Paul with PJM Incorporated. This is Lou Cortez with Safeguard Environmental Care. And Mike Tracy. Did I say that right, Mike?
Yes, you did.
With Triple G Home Inspection. Say that right, too?
Yes, you did. And a 203K building consultant.
All right, very good. Now, I do want you all to give your telephone numbers and your websites right now. We'll do it again before the show ends. So, Paul?
You can reach me at 321-228-3848, www.pjm-inc.com.
All right.
And you can reach me at 407 Safeguard Environmental Care, 407-702-5673. And my website is pestcontrolcompanyorlando.com.
All right,
And if you're looking or you have questions about the 203K rehab mortgage, you could reach me indirectly through the HUD website where I'm listed as a 203K consultant, or you can call Paul at the main office and he refers you over to for the 203K questions.
All right, very good. Now, one of the things that we also talk about, not just termites, but a majority of, well, I can't say a majority, but an awful lot of homes in Central Florida. You wouldn't think this. I mean, there's homes right here in Orlando, in many of the neighborhoods that you drive through, and you think, well, all this has to be sewer. No, there's a lot of septic tanks out there, right, Paul?
There's a lot of septic tanks out there. Mike and I have, over the years we've been doing business together, have run into situations. The most common problem we find is the seller. You earlier were speaking about disclosure. Mm-hmm. Very often the seller doesn't know they're on a septic system. That comes up a lot. I did a quadruplex. Yeah, right in Orlando. You were dead on when you said Orlando. Right in Orlando, about 2 weeks ago, I did a quadruplex. Rob, they had a whole bunch of buildings with 4 units in them, right? You would never think that would be on a septic system. It was an investment buyer that hired me. It was an investment seller selling the property. So I asked the selling agent, because I couldn't see a public system. I was like, you need to get in touch with your client and just see what disclosure they have on the septic system. I thought there might be one, but there was 4 septic systems on that property.
Wow.
And the sellers did not know they were on septic. They had never serviced it. It was built in like 1979. So that put the buyer in a unique situation. So we run into these situations with septic tanks all the time. Mike has some good septic stories because I know you've been through a lot with septic.
Paul got a phone call a while back from several realtors, and he kept me in the dark until he had all the facts, where we went out and did a home inspection, and I found the septic tank. Well, the person who owned the house goes, he must be crazy. I don't have a septic tank. The realtors were like, Mike must be crazy. There's no septic over here. The buyer was very confused because the buyer has tremendous confidence in our reputations. We've been in business for a long time. We are established and we are professional. So our reputation is very important. Sure enough, the bank actually made a decision and said, look, let's solve this controversy. Let's get a septic guy out there, and whatever the septic company says will be gold. And sure enough, it was on septic, and only through a home inspection was that determined. Paul took the phone call, and he was kind of laughing because even the seller did not know.
And that does happen a lot, and it happens probably once a month. One of
Really?
us will, yeah. And it's so interesting because there's a lot of bank-owned properties out there. The banks don't have a disclosure. They have no information to disclose. They don't know when the roof was put on, when the plumbing was redone, if it's septic or sewer. So when we go out there to the buyer, the home inspection really is worth every dime you pay for it because we're the ones to tell you now what's there.
Boy, they're lucky they didn't drive a car out on the lawn and try to wash it out there.
You said they're lucky they didn't. A lot of times they actually did.
God.
You see tire tracks going around the back of the house. That's not something uncommon either. They've destroyed the drain field and they don't even know one is there. So the septic guy then comes out on our recommendation, and now they're looking at $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 to redo the drain field.
Yeah, I have a friend up in Sumter County, and he called me the other day. He says, you know everybody up here. Who can do me a new drain field for under $8,000? And I said, you better go to the bank down on the corner, bud, because that's going to cost you.
It's expensive. And imagine going into a property having not found that out ahead of time.
God.
It'd be like that. What was that guy's name? George with the pipes?
Yeah.
I sympathize with that because there are situations where the inspector could have known or may not have known, but there's definitely, if you get an inspection, we should be able to tell you if it's septic or sewer.
And that leads us right into 203K.
Yeah. Now tell me, I didn't hear of a 203K till I was doing a mortgage show on this station about, 4 or 5 years ago. And the guy was talking about the different kind of loans. And he said, we also specialize on 203K. And I said, what in the world is that?
The 203K is an FHA-backed mortgage that has been around since the 1960s. It was originally started as a program for urban renewal. It was so successful and it was so profitable to every single person involved. It is now spread to all 48 states. I believe they still do them in Alaska when it's actually warm enough. And it is a FHA-backed mortgage where when you buy a depressed property, and these are the homes that the realtors are not able to sell, and these are the homes that needs a roof, needs plumbing, has termites, may have a damaged septic tank. And so the 203K is the perfect type of product or vehicle to get you into that home.
Okay, and what all has to go through on the part of the mortgage company? Is this something that they do extra scrutiny on? I mean, do they have to come out and also approve any of this work that's being done?
As a HUD certified and licensed home inspector, we come out, we do a feasibility report.
Right.
Which means it's similar to a home inspection, but it's not an actual home inspection according to the FHA guidelines. Now, a termite inspection is mandatory, and that's when we introduce Lou from Safeguard. And yes, we find termites in those old beat-up homes. So I go in as a HUD consultant, and I do a feasibility report. And that's when we look at the mandatory items that must be addressed, such as the roofing system, the air conditioning system, the plumbing, and the major components. And we do a feasibility report, which we submit to the bank, where the buyer has a chance to look to see if this property will or will not work for their budget. And the mortgage money goes into the rehabilitation of that home.
Very interesting. If you got questions about that, give us a call, 855-297-9696, 855-297-9696, 21232. I want to go to Lou for a minute. Lou, what are some of the other things that your company specializes in addition to the termites? What are some of the other problems that we face in Florida?
Well, as you know, living in Florida presents a very unique opportunity to be exposed to virtually every type of crawling pest, both the six-legged type and the eight-legged type, and all types of insects. But we provide pest control services for the home, general regular pest control, and then we also provide wood-destroying organism or wood-destroying, rather it be termite treatments or treatment for wood decay, and we've been doing that for 30 years now, over 30 years. And if anybody needs any kind of consultation or needs an inspection for someone to come out and evaluate their current situation, or if they have any suspicion that they may have some type of a problem, give me a call.
You know, you were showing me during the break, those little termites, they're damaging, but boy, are they cunning. They can hide. You showed me one where they were hiding behind a concrete bench.
Yeah, absolutely. Termites are not like your common ordinary insect. When I walk into a home and I ask the seller if they have any history of termite activity, they say, I've never seen any termites. Well, I don't usually see termites unless I expose them in an area where I suspect they might be living, like I showed you with the video. And at that point, we're looking for conducive conditions. We're looking for evidence. Our report indicates that we're looking for evidence, and sometimes we may encounter some live activity, but they're not normally seen like ordinary insects because they have to be hidden. They need an extensive amount of moisture, and they can only get that from the soil in relationship to the subterraneans. So they're going to tunnel through small openings as small as 1/64 of an inch, and so we'll look for the evidence like mud tubes, wings. We'll look for exit holes or shelter tubes, that kind of thing, which will show us evidence, and then we can dig deeper.
You know, and one of the things, too, I'm sure you found in homes is mud daubers.
Yes.
I had a well on a house in Mount Doro, my dream home, and it stopped working. Well, mud daubers had got up into the contacts and made them stop.
We see an extensive amount of mud daubers when we're doing inspections, actually in the attic. They love going into the attic, and we see a lot of that. But they're not a nuisance pest, so to speak. They're solitary wasps. Usually one or two of them in a mud pocket, and they're pretty easy to get rid of. The guys that you need to worry about are the guys that will sting you, and those are the regular paper wasps. They're pretty aggressive kind of little insects.
All right, we've got a call from Corey, so you might want to put some headsets on over there, and we're going to get you started, Corey, and then we may have to break for three big things you need to know, but we've got 2 minutes before that. So, Corey, what is your question for Mike?
Yes, sir. I had looked at a property back in 2009, and the real estate agent had mentioned that there was a program out there that would allow me to purchase the home and have some extra money left over to do the renovations that were needed. The house was basically started on by somebody doing a renovation on it, and it needed roofing repair. One of the doors was missing. One of the windows was missing. There was holes in the ceiling. The air conditioning system was gone. The kitchen was gone. They mentioned there was a program out there, but what they told me, they said that the program was so hard to get into that it really wasn't worth looking at. And the house was in such a great location and would have been, as far as what I was concerned, would have been an awesome investment buy. And
now, did you buy this home or you let it go?
I ended up letting it go because, what the real estate agent told me.
One of the misconceptions about the 203K is that it's difficult. Now, a lot of the realtors are just not familiar with the program because they heard from somebody who told them that they heard from somebody who told them. And when we play telephone, something that's relatively simple and easy to do, such as the 203K rehab mortgage, turns into this ogre of a story because they heard, no, they've never done it, but they heard from somebody who was told by somebody else who they know might be related to somebody that this is a difficult program, and it's not the case. What the realtor does is they identify a property that is distressed, and then their role is different during a 203K in that for the most part they open the door, and then they stand back and we do the feasibility study with the borrower or the buyer. We bring in a licensed pest control company like Safeguard, and termite inspections are required for the 203K. We look at the systems and the components, and we do a feasibility study with pricing that gives you a picture of whether this property will or will not work for you. And then after that decision is made, we continue on with the process. But it is easy, but the realtors are now learning about how easy it is and how there are so many homes that are distressed that we're having record high numbers of 203K projects in the works.
All right, very good, Corey. Thank you so much. If you want to follow up on that, I'm going to ask the guys their contact information one more time when we get back from 3 big things you need to know. Hey, we are back. Yes, indeed. We got the dream team here today. Yes, indeed. We've got PJM Inspections. We got Safeguard Environmental. We got Triple G Home Inspections, and they also deal in the 203Ks. And something brand new that Paul was telling me about during the break. It seems like they are so customer friendly, and an awful lot of you that listen to this show, a lot of you online overseas or out of state, listen to us at News 96.5 on your iHeart app. And you have work done on your house down here, but you don't know how it turns out. You know from a phone call or a written report. Well, what about video? Paul?
Yeah, we've been working with so many clients over the years. Many of them are out of the state, a lot of them out of the country. Our reports are geared around people not being present at the inspection, although a lot of people do come. I geared most of our inspection reports in a custom way so that people who couldn't be there could get a visual and see and understand the condition of the property. And that's been very successful for us as a team. One of the things that we started to do recently on an experimental basis, we're going to start offering it very soon, is actual video of the home inspection, pertinent defects, things like that. And you'll have a choice. You'll have a choice of having a video summary, us explaining and narrating what the defects are at the end of the report. You'll have a link to YouTube to go to. Or you'll have a summary that walks you through the building like a superintendent would if you bought a new building, would show you where the main service disconnect is, where the main water line is, what size is the AC, where is the equipment located, what does the roof look like, what does the attic look like. It's a little more money for these services, but they're very valuable. Mm-hmm. In the event that you can't be there, they could really be helpful.
Lou, was that one of the videos that you were showing me where you put the screwdriver down to a wall and it went right through it?
Very, very, very similar. And can you imagine getting a video like that overseas and wondering whether or not I should buy that property?
Tell me on a scale of 1 to 10, how much pressure were you putting on that a screwdriver? Because it didn't look like you were putting any in it.
Probably about 0.0 pressure.
It went right through. It was like paper.
It was exactly like that. It was like paper.
Now, just think, somebody looks at that, exterior-wise, that looks very pretty. It was very artful, very nice type of design in the wood with a lot of contours and some highlights in gold on it. And you're thinking, isn't that pretty? I'm buying a really beautiful home here. It was paper.
Yeah, and that goes back to the fact that you can't see termites when they're working, can't see the damage.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. That's
they're
one of the
sneaky.
reasons. It's very hard to see them as a home inspector, as a termite inspector, but that's why if this was a horse race, Lou would be the horse way ahead of everybody. His experience is unprecedented. This is the guy you want looking for termites.
Well, that's what I say. You know, Andre, we talk about Andre and his team, that they go to the nth degree to sell that home and to get the best price for it, not just lower your price and we'll get the thing off the market and you're gone on with life. But when he talks to me off the air about you guys, he says, oh, Rob, kind of like in pools, Tony Caruso will tell me some guys will come and do the splash and dash on your pool and charge you $30 and they're in and out of there in 5 minutes. We can't do a pool in 5 minutes. But he was talking about you guys, and you will go the extra mile for the homeowner or the home buyer and look where other people don't do it. It's not a walkthrough, is it?
Absolutely not. It's not what they call a drive-by. We don't look at the house and assess it, where some companies do, or some guys might do that. We do a thorough inspection. We'll take a substantial amount of time and a necessary amount of time to look in all areas of the house, whether it be a crawl space, an attic, or just about anywhere in that house, including the exterior garages or attached or detached garages.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I was asking earlier, Lou about, you do the inspection, who can make the deal? So I turned that same question to Mike. Mike, you see a home, you're inspecting it if somebody wants to buy a foreclosure or whatever, an older home and state home, and you talk to them about the 203K. Can you turn them on to 203K more friendly lenders in this area?
Well, when you're shopping for a 203K lender, there's basically two types of products out there. There's the streamlined 203K for very simple basic repairs that do not have termites or structural damage. And then we have the full-blown 203K where the pricing, the cost is over $35,000 or there's structural damage. But when you're looking for a lender, there are two types of lenders. There's direct endorsers, which are allowed to do the full K. And then there are the smaller banks that don't have the endorsement, and they only specialize in the 203K streamline.
All right, very good. Paul, can you give us everybody's contact information, or you want to go around the room? However you guys want to do it.
Absolutely. You can reach us at PJM Incorporated, phone number 321-228-3848, website www.pjm-inc.com. Lou?
And it's Safeguard Environmental Care, 407-702-5673, and my website is Pest Control Company Orlando.
All right, very good.
And if you have any questions about the 203K mortgage, you can reach me at 407-902-6982. And I wanted to throw in one more issue.
Yeah.
If you have a new roof or new plumbing, you may be eligible for a discount on your homeowner's insurance. Please give us a call. We can come out and do the paperwork to get you a discount.
All right, very good. And of course, if you guys do a roof inspection, it helps with the insurance, does it not?
Absolutely. We can do several different types of inspections, but anything you need.
All right, very good. That's going to wrap us up. Andre will be back next week, and we hope the Dream Team comes by soon. Don't forget, Andre during the week, 888-785-0440. News, traffic, and weather coming up, and then Law 2020.